In the middle of the night, Abigail was practicing ballet in a deserted theater while a group of criminals plotted their next heist. The hacker disabled the security cameras at Abigail's home, and the shooter positioned himself on the roof. As soon as Abigail left the theater, her driver led her to the car, ignoring the tracking device secretly placed by the criminals. The moment the vehicle began to move, the kidnappers sprang into action. The hacker opened the doors of the house, allowing 3 criminals to infiltrate Abigail's bedroom and hide. One of the women in the group, realizing the target was a child, was reluctant, claiming she didn't usually associate with minors, but was persuaded by her accomplices to continue. Shortly after, Abigail arrived home and lay down on the bed, at which point the criminals attacked her. One of them tried to restrain her, but Abigail fought back, injuring his hand with a pencil. Another man overpowered her and covered her mouth while the first attempted to strike her. The woman in the group intervened, preventing the child from being harmed, and then administered a sedative to Abigail to put her to sleep. The other part of the team waited outside and alerted those in the house to the arrival of a car. While the shooter monitored the approaching vehicle, the trio hurriedly put Abigail in a bag and fled through a window. As they crossed the garden to meet the shooter, the alarms went off, forcing them to run. Fortunately, the last 2 criminals rescued them in time, and the escape was uneventful. During the journey, they checked Abigail's pulse to ensure her well-being and blindfolded her. As they approached a traffic jam, the hacker instructed the driver to take an alternate route. However, the driver made a sudden maneuver and hid the van behind a large truck. Eventually, they reached their destination, an old, abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. There, they met Lambert, the person who had ordered the kidnapping. After handcuffing Abigail to a bed, Lambert reiterated the rules to the group. They were not to reveal names or personal histories, and they were to avoid romantic involvement. This was a 24-hour job, which meant they would need to keep an eye on Abigail until her wealthy father sent the $50 million. Lambert didn't reveal the father's identity, but confiscated everyone's phones to prevent any tracking. Before leaving, Lambert assigned each team member a code name inspired by the Rat Pack. Afterwards, the team began enjoying the drinks available in the house. Joey refused to share his sweets with Dean, who boasted of his perceptiveness and tried to unravel each member's life story, but failed. When Joey ridiculed him, the others bet money to see if she would do better. Analyzing their body language, clothing, and personalities, she guessed correctly. Frank was a former detective, Peter was a mob enforcer with low intelligence, Sammy the hacker came from a wealthy family and acted for fun, Rickles was a former Marine and sniper, and Dean was a sociopathic driver. In return, Frank deduced that Joey was a recovering addict. Joey then checked on Abigail, who complained about the tight blindfold. Joey covered her face and removed the blindfold. He also noticed that the handcuffs were hurting, so he adjusted them, securing her hands in front of her. Seeing Abigail cry, Joey explained that they wouldn't hurt her and that they only wanted the money. Abigail then made a pinky promise. Joey revealed he had a son, and Abigail, in turn, told him they had made a mistake, as her father didn't care about her. As Joey was about to leave, Abigail said she was sorry for what would happen to her. Worried, Joey returned to the group and told Frank that Abigail's father could be a violent man. Frank dismissed it, thinking Abigail was manipulating Joey. However, while the others were distracted, he went to check on the girl. Shocked to see her without the blindfold, he immediately covered her face, pointing the gun at her until she swore she hadn't seen him. Then, Frank pressured her until she revealed her father's name, Christoph Laser. Terrified, Frank ran back to the group and announced he was leaving. The others demanded an explanation, and Frank clarified that the girl was the daughter of Christoph Laser, an extremely dangerous and influential crime boss. Joey and Rickles also recognized the name and shared Frank's concern. A discussion about how to proceed ensued, and in the end, they decided to stay to get the money, which they could later use to escape and start a new life far away. They agreed to guard the perimeter and keep all doors locked. Later, Joey explored the house, following a noise that turned out to be just an open window. Opening it wide to silence the noise, she spotted an ancient statue of a father and son. She then bumped into Rickles, who unsuccessfully tried to flirt with her. He also confessed that he didn't trust others, and they both agreed to protect each other. Meanwhile, Sammy found a room with a television and was suddenly startled by a presence behind her, but it was just Dean playing a prank. He had the audacity to try to flirt with Sammy, who angrily kicked him out. Dean then found Peter sleeping and drew a male organ on his face. He continued wandering through the house and entered a dark hallway filled with old photos, including one of a girl who looked very similar to Abigail. He then headed to the basement kitchen, where a door opened by itself. Confused, he entered the room and was startled by a rat. As he tried to leave, an invisible presence suddenly grabbed him by the legs and pulled him back. Sammy heard her screams and went down to the basement, where she found Dean sitting at the table. When she tried to approach, his head fell off, and Sammy screamed. Soon, the others also arrived in the basement and agreed that Sammy didn't have the strength to do it. In fact, it reminded them of the stories about Laser's killer, Valdez. Several years earlier, 3 key members of Laser's gang were captured by the FBI. The night before their trial, they were kept hidden on the top floor of a hotel with agents guarding every corner. The next morning, the FBI raided the place and found their bodies, their heads severed and their organs missing. There was no other way in or out of the room except through the door on the 23rd floor. Concerned, they decided to check on the girl and found her right in the room. Rickles was still frightened by Valdez and wanted to leave, but when he opened the front door, they were shocked to find another locked gate. Peter tried unsuccessfully to open it, triggering a security system that covered all the windows, meaning the group was now trapped inside. Joey concluded it was a trap, and Rickles ran to check his gun, only to discover it was gone. Joey ran to Abigail and asked if she had seen anyone other than her and Frank, but Abigail swore she hadn't. She also revealed that Frank had threatened her, said he worked for her father, and that his real name was Valdez. Joey later met with Rickles, and they shared what they knew, concluding that it didn't make sense. They agreed to look for a way out, but as Joey tried to leave the room, she heard a noise. Rickles was standing strangely, so she went to check and was horrified to discover he had been fatally wounded. His lifeless body fell into her arms, and she laid him down before running downstairs. An enraged Joey pointed her gun at Frank, accusing him of being Valdez and of killing Rickles. Frank also drew his gun and said that Joey was letting Abigail manipulate her. He asked Peter to do something about Abigail, so Peter went to the bedroom to kill her. Before he could shoot, Joey arrived and quickly disarmed him. Sammy and Frank also arrived, and an argument ensued. Meanwhile,
Point that somewhere else.
You're not being practical.
No.
Peter,
We need to know what she fucking now.
Guys, come
don't
on.
fucking try.
How the fuck did she get out of those cuffs?
Huh?
to everyone's shock, Abigail simply sat there as the wound healed on its own. Joey also shot her, but it was clear the bullets were ineffective, so they ran and locked the door. The group debated what to do when they realized Abigail had been Valdez all along. All the doors were equipped with magnetically sealed locks and shutters 2 inches thick, making them impossible to break, and Sammy didn't have the equipment to hack them. Everyone was tense, and when Peter told them to slow down, Frank grabbed him by the throat, threatening him to shut up. In the end, Frank and Joey used pool cues to make steaks while Sammy searched the kitchen for garlic. Joey didn't help because he thought killing Abigail would only anger her father. Once ready, the trio rushed to Abigail's room, only to find it empty. Suddenly, they heard music, so they went to another room where they found Abigail dancing with Dean's body. Giving up, the trio returned downstairs, where Joey helped them with their wounds. She reminded them that the injection had worked when they kidnapped Abigail, and they still had a spare. They agreed to split up, and whoever found the girl first would inform Joey through her headphones so she could surprise her with the syringe. The group began searching the house, and Sammy turned down a dirty hallway, where she was surprised by bats. This caused her to fall into a pool, and she screamed when she realized it was full of decomposing bodies. Worse still, she had to crawl over them to get out. Meanwhile, Abigail surprised Peter, who fled in terror and locked the door behind him. However, Abigail broke down the door and continued to chase him, running with balletic movements. Peter was running as fast as he could when, suddenly, Frank opened a door and hit him, causing him to fall over the banister. Abigail then chased Frank, pushing him down the stairs before sitting on him. Joey seized the opportunity to try to inject her, but Abigail swatted at his hand, sending the syringe flying through a locked gate. Sammy grabbed Abigail and pulled her away, and the child retaliated by biting her arm. Abigail then grabbed Frank by the leg and began to fly, only for Peter to suddenly knock her down and force her to let go of Frank. Peter held Abigail while Joey retrieved the syringe, quickly injecting Abigail with the sedative. The child hurled stern threats and called Joey horrible names before passing out. Sammy freaked out and wondered if she would transform because of the bite. Moments later, Abigail woke up locked in an elevator. Joey told her that if she revealed how to get out, they would let her go. Instead, Abigail confessed that she had planned the whole thing and that Lambert was working for her. She even knew all their real names and stories. Sammy started his career by taking money from his wealthy parents' bank accounts and eventually went after one big fish in particular. Peter served as muscle for a crime family and stole from their crew. Frank infiltrated a particular crime family while working as a detective and ended up enjoying the illegal life. Joey is a former army medic who was fired for becoming addicted to prescription drugs and left her son with his father, who was a bad father, to become an underground doctor for some very shady people. One day, she accidentally killed a gang member while trying to remove a bullet. It turned out that everyone there had wronged Laser or his gang in some way, and Joey said that Abigail killed her father's enemies just to make him love her. Abigail didn't kill them immediately because she liked to play with her food. She said that if they let her go, she would let two of them live. Frank suggested killing her, but an irritated Abigail changed her offer to only saving the one who freed her. Peter quickly drew his gun, and Joey did the same, while she and Frank explained that Abigail was lying. When Peter tried to free her anyway, Joey shot him. Then the group left, except for Frank, who volunteered to stand guard. After everyone left, Frank said he would free her if she told him how to get out of the house. Abigail explained that he should pull out the Agatha Christie book in the library to open a secret door. Frank thanked her but refused to free her, so Abigail easily broke the door to push him out and danced toward him. Just then, Joey arrived and broke the wooden boards of a window, letting in sunlight. The light instantly blew Abigail's hand, and she ran to hide in the shadows so she could regenerate it while Joey and Frank fled. The entire group arrived at the library and stood in the sunlight streaming through the high window Joey had opened earlier. Nothing happened to Sammy, so she was relieved, thinking she wouldn't transform. Frank pulled out the book Abigail mentioned, but nothing happened because she had also lied. While he was throwing a tantrum, Joey tried to knock down the wall, but failed. She had run out of candy, so she was very anxious. Joey explained to Sammy that she had left her son to get clean and that the plan was to use the money from this job to return to him and start over as a reset. Hearing this gave Sammy an idea. If they could find the power source, it could short-circuit the locks. The team split up and searched the house. Suddenly, Abigail played music again and took control of Sammy thanks to her bite. She quickly transformed into a vampire and attacked Peter, biting his neck. Abigail spoke to him through Sammy while continuing to feed, and killed him. Abigail then amused herself by making Sammy dance like her. Eventually, Joey and Frank arrived, so Sammy kept her face hidden. However, the others were suspicious, so Sammy showed them her transformation, and the pair immediately fled. Sammy chased them, and they reached the library, where Abigail used Sammy's voice to explain that she hated that room because that was where her father had transformed her. Joey picked up a tray and reflected sunlight on it, causing Sammy's body to explode. At that moment, a secret door opened, and although Joey and Frank thought it was a trap, they decided to go through it anyway. After passing through a hallway, they found the mansion's control center and Lambert, who was also a vampire. Lambert grabbed Joey by the neck as he explained everything. Abigail turned him 2 years ago when she discovered he'd helped Frank infiltrate the gang. She also threatened his family, and now all he does is bring all his father's enemies here so she can play. He's already notified Laser of the situation, and he's on his way to the mansion. Lambert wanted to kill Abigail and his father, so he offered to turn Frank if he promised to help. Frank agreed, so Lambert knocked Joey out and bit Frank. Lambert then made Frank drink his blood, and Joey woke to see Frank painfully transform into a vampire. Lambert then told Frank to feed on Joey, but Frank stabbed him with a stake, causing Lambert to explode. At that moment, Abigail arrived and tried to attack. Joey seized the opportunity to reach the control panel and deactivate the security measures, also retrieving her phone. But when she ran down the secret corridor, the exit was locked. As Frank finished feeding on Abigail and dropped her body, Joey called her son and left a heartbreaking message on his voicemail saying goodbye. Frank found her and immediately pushed her back into the library, where he began throwing her against the furniture. Joey tried to defend herself, but her punches were ineffective against a vampire. He then grabbed her by the neck and threw her to the floor, but Abigail caught her in time. Abigail explained that she was too weak to defeat him alone and begged Joey to help her kill Frank, promising to let her go so she could see her son again. Frank approached them, and the girls joined forces to fight him, but no matter how hard they tried, he was clearly stronger than the two of them combined. After he knocked Abigail down, he stabbed Joey in the shoulder with the stake and pinned her to a pillar. He then resumed fighting Abigail, biting her again as she raised her pinky to remind Joey of her promise. Once Abigail was down, Frank pulled Joey off the stake and bit her neck before throwing her to the ground. When she woke up, Frank used his vampire powers to force her to pick up the stake and go after Abigail. However, Joey was faking it, so she turned and attacked Frank, giving Abigail the chance to jump him. She fought him again, explaining that powers take a while to fully develop, so he couldn't control or transform Joey yet. While they were distracted, Joey retrieved the stake and knocked Frank down, then she and Abigail teamed up to stab him and make him explode. Afterward, Joey worried that she might also transform, but Abigail confirmed that wouldn't happen because Frank was dead. As promised, Abigail let Joey go and told her to find her son. Suddenly, someone grabbed Joey's shoulder. It was Abigail's father, Laser, who said he'd had many names over the years. He wanted to kill Joey, but Abigail came to his defense, saying that Joey had saved his life and been there for her when he wasn't. Laser kissed Joey's hand in gratitude and let her go. Joey ran back to the van and discovered she still had a lollipop left, so she ate it as she drove away. If you enjoyed the story, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your interaction is very important to us. See you next time.